Happy New Year, Hoopheads, and welcome to Her Game, Her Voice, the podcast that delivers big stories about the world of women's basketball in little 15-minute or less episodes. I'm your host, Kaari Peterson. In this first episode of the new year, we've got a quick WNBA CBA update, a listener question about those little black boxes refs wear on their belts, and part 3 of my conversation with my friend and former colleague, Dan Rosensweig. This time, we'll go deeper on Unrivaled, what makes it different, and what makes the fan experience so good. All right, let's tip it off. Now I'm going to give you a quick update on the saga that is the WNBA CBA, Collective Bargaining Agreement, negotiations. We blew past the January 9th deadline and still no deal. So now we have a moratorium. And if you're like me, you didn't even know that a moratorium in CBA negotiations was a thing. So what's really going on? Simply put, a moratorium is a temporary freeze on league business while negotiations continue. That means no free agency signings, no major roster moves. Basically, the offseason is paused. So why does this matter? Well, even though the old CBA technically expired, U.S. labor law says that for now, the rules of the old agreement still apply. Everyone knows that the next CBA is going to change money in a big way. Salaries, the cap, revenue sharing, all of it. So instead of letting teams operate under an outdated system that's about to be replaced, both sides agreed to hit pause until the new deal is finalized. This protects players from signing contracts under old economic rules and keeps teams from making moves they might immediately regret once the new CBA kicks in. To be clear, this is not a lockout, it's not a strike, and this does not mean that the season is canceled. Negotiations are still happening. That said, once a CBA expires, either side can escalate to a lockout or a strike later if talks collapse. We're not there right now, but who knows, we may get there. The real consequence of this moratorium is time. The moratorium essentially compresses the entire WNBA offseason, and there are things that still need to happen this offseason, like free agency, expansion-related roster moves, and the draft. All of that is waiting on one thing, a ratified CBA. So the longer negotiations drag on, the more compressed the calendar becomes. Bottom line, the moratorium is a pause. It's not time to panic about the 2026 season. Yet. Now it's time for a listener question. This week's question comes from Jake in Colorado Springs. Jake asked, "What's the deal with those little black boxes the refs wear on their belts? Why does every ref look like they're wearing a pager from 1997? Great question, Jake. Let's talk about the mysterious little black box on officials' belts. That little device is part of a system called precision timing, and its entire job is to make sure the game clock is as accurate as humanly and technologically possible. Here's how it works. Refs wear a small belt pack connected to a microphone near their whistle. When a ref blows the whistle, that sound triggers a signal that stops the game clock instantly. No waiting for someone at the scorer's table to hear it. No reaction time delay. The clock stops right now. When play resumes, like on an inbound, the official presses a button on that same belt pack to restart the clock. Again, there's a direct signal. The idea is simple. Remove human lag from timing. Because when games come down to tenths of a second, and we know they do, accuracy really matters. So to sum it all up, that little black box isn't a pager or a fitness tracker. It's basically the ref's direct hotline to the game clock. It reduces the chance of human error, and hopefully it helps keep games drama-free. Great question, Jake. And if you've got one you want answered on the show, you can find me at post@hergamehervoice.com. And now it's time for part 3 of my interview with Dan Rosensweig. In episodes 17 and 18, Dan shared why he invests in women's sports and how NIL can help women athletes build their value. In part 3, we shift from why to how. How Unrivaled was built with a sense of purpose, and how that design creates a better experience for both the players and the fans. Here's Dan.
Love the NBA, but you can end up in a situation where as a fan for a long time, you could be watching a lousy team because of bad decisions and bad ownership. At Unrivaled, because there's no draft, there's never a bad game. And every game, you as the fan are seeing stars. And what ended up happening is when leagues stopped being owners' leagues and started being players' leagues, we all thought that was an advancement. And it was. Because we needed to care about players' health, players' safety, right? Players' incomes. Mm-hmm. And that makes great sense to me as a guy who is a CEO of companies. Unrivaled, they put the fan first. So in this case, the arenas are smaller. The players are more accessible, right? The merch is more affordable. The tickets are more affordable. The excitement in the arena is there. The players are much more interesting and accessible. Their stories are more accessible. And it feels like they're playing for something more than just their own stats.
And that feeling that they're playing for something bigger didn't just happen. It came from the players who looked at women's basketball, saw where it could be better, and decided to build something new.
It reminds me of what great entrepreneurs really can be by reinventing something that we didn't realize we needed and wanted, but now we're obsessed with it.
And it makes sense that when athletes build something themselves, the culture looks different. Here's how Dan describes the way Unrivaled operates.
Well, first of all, what I love is the leadership team. They have an incredible person in each role that has ambition, thoughtfulness. They have incredible confidence, but a lack of hubris. It's a mission-driven company. This team has this mission to build women's basketball the way a professional league should be run.
Think about that for a minute, hoopheads. The way a professional league should be run. Unrivaled isn't just fixing what was broken in women's professional basketball. It's changing how we think about what a successful sports league can be and should look like. It's showing what's possible when the people who play the game rethink it with a player-centered, fan-friendly focus. Unrivaled's second season tipped off on January 8th. Every game is televised live on TNT or True TV, and you can stream games on HBO Max, so check it out. It's a great way to catch some of your favorite WNBA players while they're waiting out the CBA moratorium. Huge thanks to Dan Rosensweig for sharing his perspective across the last few episodes of this podcast. I'm deeply grateful for his time and insight. Thanks, Dan. And now it's time for the awards section of this podcast. First, the Buzzer Beater Award. This week's Buzzer Beater Award goes to Derica effing Hamby, period. On January 12th in the Unrivaled League, Hamby did something no one had done before. She dropped the first ever 40-point game in league history.
What?
Let me say that again in case you missed it. She scored 40 points in a 3-on-3 game in 18 minutes. That's not a hot streak. That's a basketball inferno. Playing for Vinyl BC against Hive BC, BC stands for Basketball Club, Hamby went 16 for 23 from the field. She pulled down 10 rebounds and led her team to an 89-66 win. And here's something that really struck me. In 11 seasons in the WNBA, Derica Hamby has never scored 40 points. Her career high there? 29. So she waits for the Unrivaled League with its lightning pace and says, cool, I'll just rewrite my personal record book real quick. Congrats to Derica for her Buzzer Beater Award and for making Unrivaled history, and for reminding everyone that sometimes the buzzer beater isn't one shot, it's an entire performance. And now, the Airball Award. This week's Airball Award goes to the Unrivaled League's marketing group. Last year in late November, a new Unrivaled League hype campaign had fans buzzing, and for good reason. All of the clues in this campaign pointed to one thing: Caitlin Clark. The promos kept mentioning 22, not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Now, in the world of women's basketball, the number 22 is shorthand for superstar Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark. Duh. And some fans even speculated that this 22 tease might deliver a twofer. After all, the newly crowned WNBA MVP wears number 22 and had yet to announce her plans for January 2026. I'm talking about A'ja Wilson, of course. And what did Unrivaled deliver after the 22 tease? Nada, zip, zilch. No Clark, no Wilson. Reporter and analyst Rachel Annamarie Demita called it an uncomfortable truth, that the league leaned into a hint that exploded fans' expectations and then didn't deliver. Fans tuned into the new Unrivaled season this month, thinking they might see one or two number 22s, only to realize that they'd been misled. And Unrivaled ratings might be bearing the brunt of this marketing debacle. Opening night viewership for Season 2 was down roughly 44% compared to last year. This marketing campaign didn't just fall flat, it broke the trust of Unrivaled fans. To be clear, Caitlin Clark isn't in Unrivaled this season because, well, she never signed up, choosing instead to use the WNBA offseason to rest and build her brand. A'ja Wilson passed on Unrivaled this season too. Congratulations to Unrivaled's marketing group for teasing the star power of number 22, only to mislead fans. It's a huge air ball. And finally, the Flagrant Foul Award. This week, I'm giving UConn women's basketball a flagrant foul. Why? Because it's my show and I can do what I want. And have I mentioned lately how much I hate UConn? Seriously, though, the UConn women's basketball team this year is amazing, and it makes me sick. Yep, even without Paige Beckers, this team is on fire. Aside from being unbeaten, they're continuing their dominance as a unanimous number 1 in the weekly Top 25 AP poll. How boring is that? This is women's college basketball. I want more chaos and drama in the poll. I want teams moving up and down the list. So congrats to Gino and the team for this Flagrant Foul Award for consistent greatness. It's sickening and boring. I'm Kaari Peterson, and you've been listening to Her Game, Her Voice. Want more? Hit follow or subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you do that, you won't miss an episode. While you're on the show page, please drop a rating or review, or share an episode with a friend. You can find Her Game, Her Voice on Substack, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks for listening, and happy hoopin'!